Well, hello and welcome to NRHA's 2012 webcast series. This webcast is on how you as retailers can give back and connect with your communities. My name is Jesse Carlton. I'm the senior editor here at the Hardware Retailing magazine. Certainly want to thank you for tuning in today. This webcast is sponsored by the North American Retail Hardware Association, NRHA, along with Hardware Retailing magazine, the industry's leading journal for business-to-business advice. We're also sponsored by our vendor partners. If you want to learn more about those, you can log on to nrha.org and see all of our vendor partners. These vendor partners help make webcasts like this possible, as well as all the great information that you see in the Hardware Retailing magazine and nrha.org. So, like I mentioned, today's webcast is how you can give back and connect with your communities. You know, independent retailers know that being a businessman or woman is about more than just selling goods and services. Many retailers, in fact, believe that there's a bit of social responsibility that comes with being a businessman or a businesswoman. And it's your responsibility as a leader in the community to give back to those in need and to help build the community. Many retailers feel very strongly about that, and a lot of them do that in a variety of ways. Some of them will donate to charitable organizations. They might give to local nonprofits or other causes. Some of them will share their leadership skills in civic organizations. Some of them have even run for public office and become members of city, county council, or even the mayors of the town. In fact, one of the distinctives of being an independent retailer is your ability to connect with the community. And people know that by shopping at your store, they're supporting the community. You're an integral part. More than likely, you've been in business there for a long time. Your family's part of it. So it just makes sense for you to want to give back to the community. So we've talked a lot about, all this idea about giving back and connecting. What does that really mean? What does it look like? Well, that's what this webcast is about, and we're going to use some examples from retailers I've talked with, kind of get a feel for what they're doing, going to share that with you, and see what lessons we have to learn from them. One of the first things you can do, and where it all starts, anytime you want to connect with the community, it's about developing partnerships. And this could be a partnership with a local business, with an individual. A lot of times you want to find someone who has a cause, and you want to connect with them, and you can contribute to that. A good example here in this picture, we see this picture has a couple of folks down in Havasu City, Arizona. Havasu Hardware helped a local girl. She's pictured there on the left. She was collecting money to help collecting money to buy backpacks and school supplies for children, underprivileged children who needed them. So the school or the hardware store said, we'll help. They took a ladder and they raffled it off and they took the money, and here they are. The assistant store manager is handing her a check. And so that's an example of them. They partnered with someone who had a business, or already had a cause, and they already had it set up where they could give. And so they just made a partnership and they gave some money. And they let their customers know about it, and their customers helped with the raffle. Another way that you can connect with your community isn't necessarily by giving to a nonprofit, but it's by joining together with other local businesses. The Shop Local movement has been pretty big lately, and it's only going to get stronger, it seems. And it's the idea of building community by building relationships with other businesses. So a good example is down in Smyrna, Georgia. Susan Harlan, who we'll talk about a few other times here later on, at Victory Do It Best, she organized a shop hop. And what that was is she got together with several other local businesses and said, how can we promote ourselves more? They listed probably 10 or 12 businesses on a card, and during the span of the event gave the cards to customers, go around to all the different businesses. When you visit one, you get a punch in your card. You get 10 punches, you turn in the card, and you get a prize. It's a raffle for a prize. I think there was also something where they had a charm bracelet, and every time you visited a retailer and you purchased $10, you got a little charm for the bracelet, and each retailer had their own little charm. So it's little things like that they were able to do to promote the sense of business among the business community. So developing those partnerships is probably the best place to start. And of course, as you're looking for a cause, or if you're looking for something, some organization to partner up with, it's also a good idea to avoid the controversial ones and avoid the political issues. That's another tip that we could give you as you're thinking about that, especially as campaign season's rolling around. Think about the issues that are organizations that are fairly neutral and that won't divide your customer base. As we think about developing partnerships, that goes straight into cross-marketing. Jonathan Phillips, who is up at Phillips Hardware, which is in upstate New York, this is something that he preaches a lot when he talks about how you can get connected with your community. What do I mean by cross-market? Well, if you're going to have a fundraiser, and then a couple weeks later you're going to have a grand reopening for your store, you're going to have some customer appreciation event, find a way to tie those two together. Phillips here, in this picture, he's holding a ribbon. He's had a ribbon cutting for a grand reopening to a store that he's just remodeled. And he says that ribbon cutting by itself can be a bit dry, but if you combine that with a special event, if you combine that special event with someone else in the community, in this case, he's helping the local school kick off their capital funds campaign for a new playground. And so he doesn't just have his store employees up here holding the ribbon. He has people from the community. He has little kids. Behind him, he has pictures of the new playground, or the kids' pictures of the playground, what they want it to be. So you'll find that if you combine resources, don't just do it on your own. If you're going to have a special event, which I hope you all do, have special events throughout the year, whether it's to promote for sales or customer appreciation, find ways to use other organizations, and you'll find that it eases your workload because you can combine resources, and you also give those organizations a platform for getting their message out. The next thing you can do is reach out to your local government, and by that I mean is kind of developing lines of communication between the local government, whether it's the mayor or whether it's city county council or the various officials. Make sure you make friends with them and you know who they are, and when they have a need or when there's an opportunity, you can come right in. The example we have is again from Susan Harlan down in Smyrna, Georgia. The county government approached her and said, well, we've had a drought lately and we've got to figure out a way to help citizens conserve water. So they put their heads together and came up with the idea of building rain barrels. And the hardware store is a perfect fit. They had all the materials and they could figure out how to build them, and I think they even built one that was pressurized. And so they began selling them and Susan started selling them in her store. And you could either buy the one that was pre-made or you could get a kit and put it together. They had them on display at a local garden tour, and it was a big success. I mean, it helped people, it helped the local government encourage people to save water, and it was another way that the store found to drive traffic into their store. Also tried reaching out to the schools. That's almost a no-brainer. You as a retailer have a lot of information that's valuable to students and to staff. You can educate them on whether speaking at a career day, saying this is what it takes to be a retailer, this is what it takes to be a business person. In this picture we have Todd Kirshner over at Trio Hardware in Plainview, New York. Down in the basement of his store he has a shop and some tools, and students need some help on a science project or another project for school. You can take them down there and show them how to build it. Of course he has everything that you need upstairs in the store that they need to build the project as well. But he's donating his time and his knowledge to the students, helping them with some of their classes. We have another retailer, Susan Harlan again, spoke at a career day at the school, at the local elementary school, helped the students build a little birdhouse and talk to them about the store. She also has helped teachers get some of the projects, the things that they need for class projects. So reaching out to the local schools is another great way that you can be a resource in your community. The next thing is responding to an emergency. We all know in the back of our minds that when a tornado comes through town or the town gets flooded, it's a disaster, but we also know that means that there's going to be a lot of need for the things we have in our stores, generators or tarps or shingles. But it's also a great opportunity for us to show a little bit of goodwill towards the community. And this just takes being ready to respond and being ready and willing. We have here Mike Spencer over at T.H. Rogers, the T.H. Rogers Lumber Supply Company in Neosho, Missouri. A tornado hit there not too long ago, and afterwards, the store was okay, but there were certain parts of the town that were affected. And he loaded up his truck with tarps and water and Gatorade and drove around, and when he saw someone that was, struggling to figure out how they were going to clean up the mess, he offered him a free tarp or a free bottle of water, and just let them know that he was there to help. And of course his truck was there with it, showing that he was a lumber company, and when it came time to rebuild, I'm sure that they came to him for shingles and other materials. But it's that little token gesture of goodwill that people who are affected by a disaster do appreciate. And in fact, in this example, Mr. Spencer also helped in nearby Joplin when that area was affected by the tornado. He went up and helped out with Habitat for Humanity. So there's a lot of ways that you, as whether you own a hardware store or a lumberyard or a home improvement center, you can help out in disaster times by just those little tokens that do help. You can also share your business and leadership skills. Here we have Megan Minzer. She is from Newton's True Value in Cherryvale, Kansas. And she's an example of a retailer that's got very involved in her community. She's the president of the local Chamber of Commerce. She's been that several times. She's a part of the local Main Street organization. She's a trustee in her church. She's discovered, as many other retailers have discovered, that connecting and giving back to your community also involves sharing your business and leadership skills. As a retailer or someone who is used to running a business, there are certain skills that you have that are very valuable to other organizations within the community. And you can share those skills. It also gives you a chance to influence some of the decisions that are made around town and be an influencer. And no doubt a lot of those decisions will affect your business. A lot of them will just affect the well-being of the community. It's also a great way for you to network with other community leaders. You can network with the local politicians or the local businessmen and other leaders in the community. And as we saw earlier, that networking and those partnerships will lead to other opportunities for you to give back as well. Another thing you can do, which sometimes is fairly, can be a low effort on your part, is just to donate space to other organizations. We've all probably, at one time or another, given the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts a little piece of the sidewalk to set up a table and sell the cookies or the popcorn or have a bake sale, or maybe it's the local school wants to have a car wash, so you donate a little, let them use a little piece of the parking lot. Those are just great examples of ways you can donate space. You might also donate the inside of the space of the store to someone who wants to have a meeting. It could be the local wood guild, or it might be the Knife Collectors Association. It might be the Department of Natural Resources want to talk about hunting safety or fishing, how to get a fishing license. Those are easy ways. It all requires from you is a little bit of staff to watch over for store security and maybe have a meeting space. But it's a great way to use one of your resources, which is a space in your store, for someone that someone else might need. So when you're thinking about other organizations or other causes that you want to donate space for, don't just think about your regular customer base. If you're a lumberyard, for example, your customers are mostly contractors, could be. So don't just think about events or things that apply mostly to them. If you're like Andy Haste down in Miami, Florida, he hosts meetings of the monthly Wood Guild and he caters to contractors, but he also looks for others, a more diverse customer base. If you look at the two fellows in the picture here, they are actually actors in a Shakespeare troupe, and they have for a long time been performing Shakespeare in the Park. Well, and Andy, as an English major and kind of a literature buff, he likes Shakespeare, and he used to donate materials and things for the sets that they would build. Pretty soon, they used to do it in the park, but the city started wanting to charge them a lot of money for setting up in the park. So Andy said, why don't you come and do your plays in my lumberyard? So now we have Shakespeare in the lumberyard, and it's a little unique, and these fellows and most of the people in the acting company aren't part of Andy's regular customer base, but they have become some of his biggest fans, because every year he hosts them in the lumber yard. He lets them set up their stages in the evening, and it's become a very popular event. A lot of people attend this. His lumber yard gets a lot of exposure because of it, and he was willing to reach out beyond some of his regular customer base and not just think about events that hosting events or doing things just for those customers. In this slide, we're back to Shell Lumber. This time, Andy is focusing on his biggest customers, his contractor customers. You know, he knows that they need lunch every day. He knows they like a cup of coffee in the morning. He has the free cup of coffee. He has the free cup of bag of popcorn for them to eat throughout the day. But he also has a hot dog stand in front of his store. And Shell Lumber is on it's a very urban store, busy sidewalk. A lot of people coming and going, whether they're passing by or coming into the store. So he has it's a regular licensed vendor. He sells hot dogs and drinks. He gives the contractors a place to come and eat lunch. They don't just come and eat lunch though. They'll linger for a while. They'll hang out with each other. They'll talk. They'll network. It becomes a great place for them to do business. A great place to break up the day, to come to Shell Lumber and grab some lunch, talk with some other folks about business. And in fact, the running joke around with the locals is that more business gets done around that hot dog stand than it does at City Hall. And so what he's done is created a culture where people can come, and his contractors feel they can come there more than just to get their supplies for the day. Inside, he has a bulletin board. It's a place where they can post, or anyone can post notices of events or local happenings. He also has a bulletin board for the contractors to post their business cards. So if you're a guy out on the job and you think I need someone who can do some concrete work, or I need someone who can do some locksmithing, they can come in, find a good resource there on the bulletin board. So what he's trying to do is create a culture of giving people reasons to come to the store, and it's another way of connecting with the community, kind of becoming a hub for his for his customers to come and network with each other. Another key thing is to get employees involved. You may already be convinced about how involved you need to be in the community, and you maybe have a set of things that you do to give back. But it's also important for you to set the example for your employees and to encourage them as well, and kind of teach them the value of giving back. When you have your own event, when you have something that you're doing, if your employees are excited, they can help get customers excited. And it's also just a good life lesson to teach them about the value of giving back to others. Sometimes it takes a little incentive. Jonathan Phillips, again, up at Phillips Hardware, has just started a program where he incentivizes his employees to go out and volunteer in the community. Obviously, if there's an event that happens during store time and they're getting paid, they're on the clock, it's part of their job. But he wants them to look for after-hour ways of helping, and that might involve volunteering in one way or the other, or giving back. When they do that, they can earn points, and they can use those points to redeem prizes, pretty nice prizes. So his goal is to teach others, specifically his employees, the value of giving back and getting them involved as well. So in this picture, you see we're back down at Susan Harlan's store in Victory Do It Best. Here's a couple of her employees who got involved in a project. This project was Little Free Library, which is a kind of a grassroots national movement to help encourage people to read. Little Free Library is, what it does is it encourages, whether it's residents or business people, to put a little box in the outside of their building that's accessible to the public, fill it with books, books that people can come and take and read. You don't need a library card, you just borrow it, it's on the honor system, you can return it, return another book, donate more books. And this got her pretty excited, and she got a couple of her employees excited about it. They built this little box, which is on the outside of the store, and filled it with books, and it's been doing pretty well for the store. People will come and donate books so much that they have to keep some of them in the back room and keep it filled. But she got her employees involved, and and that's what I think any retailer wants to do, is get their employees involved. You can also think outside of your community. It's not just, a lot of times you're giving directly to your community, but you can also give, whether it's globally or in other towns across the country. We have here a picture of Jeff Cardwell, and he is from Cardwell Do It Best Home Center here in Indianapolis. Cardwell is very involved in the community. He serves on the city county council. He has many things that he does. He's also involved on a global level as well. This picture is a trip that he took to El Salvador, and he led a group of volunteers there, and he's done that several times. If you encourage your customers to join together to support a community somewhere else, you're still creating a sense of community because you're all going together for a common cause. Even if it's not something that directly affects your community, it's helping your customers realize that you are still thinking outside of your own doors and you want to help others, and you're encouraging to help others too. So maybe get your customers to help you out. If you're going to say send some money overseas or send some supplies or lead a team of volunteers, encourage your customers and your employees to join you in that effort, and that will help build that bond between you and your customers. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be just global, it can be domestic. Think about what happened after 9/11 or what happened after Hurricane Katrina or other things. A lot of retailers, a lot of people wanted to donate, and retailers were often the funnel through which those donations went. Back at with Jeff Cardwell, he is also a cheerleader for the community, and this is something that's just as important. You know, you're not going to be the only retailer in the area doing something for the community. You're not going to be the only one hosting fundraisers or giving back in some way. And you probably can't be a part of everything. But even if you can't be a part of everything, you can just still talk it up. And talk it up with your employees, talk it up with your customers. Always be positive about what others are doing. Kind of be a cheerleader for others in the community who are trying to help. Call up a retailer and say, "Great job on that fundraiser," or "I think you're doing a great thing with this event." And be a cheerleader. This is what Jeff does. He has his own radio show, and it's called People Helping People. It's a weekly show, and he brings in other organizations who are doing something for the community, who are people helping people, and he talks to them about what they're doing, and he and gives them some free publicity, encourages them, and it's basically he's a cheerleader. So you can also remember you're not competing with others, with other businesses when it comes to giving back to the community. You're all doing it together. These last couple slides, I just want to, in these other slides, we talked to a lot of retailers. We got some of the big ideas, some of the big things that you can do if you're interested in giving back to your community and connecting. These last few are just some bits and pieces of some practical advice that they gave me, and which I'll pass on to you. You know, if you're the first is get the most bang for your buck. If you're looking for a cause to support, you're looking for a special event to be a part of, make sure you get a good amount of value out of it. Of course, benevolence is always your primary motive. You're not doing it just so you can get something out of it. We realize as a business owner that there are ways that you can leverage that support, so a lot of that goodwill gets directed at you as well, and it's returned in customers shopping you more because they believe that you're supporting them. So when you look at something to get involved in, don't look just at the big events, or if you're, for example, going to sponsor an event and you're going to get your logo put on a t-shirt, you might be with 25 other logos and you might get kind of lost in all the clutter. Look for the smaller events with big causes that can give you a lot more value, that you can be more involved in, and that you can develop more relationships with the people putting on that event. And you can get your name gets more exposure, and you are able to participate more. Look beyond cash donations. Sometimes cash donations are the only way to go, or the best way to go. First example we talked about was someone, the store that was donating to a backpack drive to get backpacks for kids. Sometimes it's the best way to give cash, but look for ways that you can volunteer, give your time, give other resources. That tends to mean more than just writing a check. A lot of times, in fact, those in organizations will prefer that you have a that you donate your time. They would prefer to have some of the manpower, some of the leadership skills that you can provide. So look beyond the cash donations and look for ways that you can be personally involved and involve your employees. Be slow to say no. You know, it's really easy, especially at home, when someone calls and there's a marketing or someone knocks at the door trying to sell you something, just to hang up or say go away. But when someone calls your store, which I imagine you do get a lot of calls for requests for donations, be sure to hear them out and really decide if that's, give them their fair time. Even if you know right off the bat that you're probably not going to do it, or if you're not sure, sometimes you may change your mind. You may find that even the smallest and seemingly the causes that don't seem to fit your store end up being good opportunities. And you also want to look for mutual commitment. Make sure that they are committed to their cause as they want you to be. Make sure that they're not in just for personal gain. It even helps if they come and want to visit your store. Are they willing to visit you in person? If they just send you a letter or give you a phone call, maybe the next step of evaluation, are they willing to come and visit and share some time with me and really sit down and explain and show me that they are committed. If you're looking for a cause, if you're just getting started, then find a cause that you're passionate about. Find something that you are interested in, or find something that your employees are interested in that you can really tie into. Find people to help you. Don't go at it alone. Go to the experts for help, those who know a lot about, find the resources that you need that can help make your event better. Get excited about whatever you do. Give it all your own, give it a lot of energy. I mentioned earlier Jonathan Phillips, and he one of his quotable quotes is, "Every event I do, I pretend that I'm running for president of the U.S. I really talk it up." So he talks it up with his employees, with his customers, whatever it takes to talk up that event and get people excited. And it starts, of course, with you being excited about it. And then pass on your knowledge to others. Going back to Phillips again, he's probably seems like he spends as much of his time out organizing events and finding ways to connect with his community as he does in his store. One of the things he also does is he's kind of like a tutor or an advisor. Other nonprofits or other businesses want to figure out how they can organize an event or how they can do more in the community. He's willing to sit down with them and help them pass some of his knowledge on. The more you do these things, the more knowledge you get. And it's a great way to pass that knowledge on to others, even if it's, whether if it's in your own community, if it's with other hardware retailers that in other states or other cities. Pass on that knowledge, and then just like we're doing right now, pass on that knowledge to others so they can do more in their towns as well. That's all I have today. I hope this has been a profitable webcast for you, and I certainly thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or you have any comments, or if you want to share your own event and share some of the things that you're doing in your community, feel free to email me. I'm at jcarlton@nrha.org. Thank you.